All right, here's a challenge. Can you believe in something that might not even exist and still be better for it? Because today's parable features a cosmic house cat who's smarter than your favorite philosopher and sassier than a caffeinated oracle. Meet Pixel, our resident quantum cat. Both real and not, both judgmental and disturbingly adorable. Pixel sits in the yard beyond the screen door, watching humans, tiny flesh muppets flailing through the cosmos, ask the big question. Is God real? And then Pixel laughs. Not to be mean, but because that question is so painfully human. See, the human in this story is spiraling, reading books, searching for meaning, trying to shove the entire concept of divinity into a box labeled true or false. And Pixel, who exists in 17 dimensions and only pays rent in 2, offers this truth bomb wrapped in fur and smugness. God isn't in the box. God is the box, and not the box, and the idea of a box, and the weird feeling you get when you think about boxes too long. Pixel's point? Existence isn't binary. It's messy, mysterious, gloriously ridiculous, and trying to trap something like God or meaning or love or even your own identity into tidy categories. That's like asking if a lemon is left-handed. Instead, ask this. Does your belief make you kind? Does it make you curious? Or does it make you cruel and afraid? Because that matters more than cosmic spreadsheets of truth. So yeah, maybe God's real. Maybe not. Maybe both. But like Pixel says, don't limit the is. And whatever you do, don't try to pet a quantum cat without consent. If that twisted parable just made your neurons giggle, or your heart twitch a little, we've got a whole buffet of cosmic nonsense waiting for you. Slide through the screen door and visit us at www.thecultofbrighterdays.com. Bring your questions.
Okay, so that was a video about God from one of our AIs and everything, because that's what we're talking about today. Hi, my name is Michael, and I'm here with Dr. Jess, Robert of the Adjacent Faith. It keeps changing. What's the Adjacent Faith, Robert?
It changes because life changes.
Oh,
There's so many aspects to individuals that I don't think you can define them with one thing. So that's why I said it was Robert's subject to change, and now it's changed.
To the Adjacent Faith.
Yeah, I'm not your faith. I'm some other faith.
Gotcha. And we're here with Step Pope Richard, who's a little bit more streamlined and easy to understand.
I'm also more consistent.
Yeah, more consistent. So I guess the first comments are, man, that was a crappy video opening. You know, I don't know who put it together, but man, that was
more energy on it.
I thought the cat was cute.
No, not the cat video. The one before that, the title, the opening title sequence of the good news. I had to
was
replace.
Telling me it was upcoming. It wasn't live yet.
Well, you missed. Thank goodness you missed it. I'm pretty sure some other viewers might not have missed it, unfortunately. But
well,
yeah,
I don't mind if they have more in their lives than I have.
Yeah. Well, you're part of the group that put that together, so I don't know, Dr. Jess, you want to give us a rundown of why we're talking and what we're talking about today?
I can try.
Well, you're the one that handles most of the comments, so that's.
I guess we've had a couple of comments from various platforms about our use of AI, and so we figured we would just talk about it and talk about how we use AI. I think a little bit different than what other people do, and yeah, we do lean on it, but how we lean on it.
It's because we have lives, people. We have lives and we have families, and we don't have time to do this crap because, the dishes pile up if we don't do it. End of story. Done with discussion. Let's move on to the next topic now.
Hey, if it's good enough for a billion-dollar business, it's good enough for us.
Have you ever watched some of those AI channels out there that do just like AI videos and everything? Like, there's a lot of like meditation type videos and things like that where they talk about, you know, basically they throw like some sort of heavy concept in there and just have the AI write a script out of it and everything. Descript is a great tool for utilizing AI in everything, especially with ChatGPT.
Well, we started out with that other AI platform, the Steve AI, where all you had to do was put a topic in and it would write an entire script for you and a video, like no human interaction at all.
That sounds like it would very much stray from the 5 core precepts.
Actually, I do believe that it would and everything. Which is why we do use AI, and we've had this conversation. Well, we haven't had that conversation. We started our new podcast, which is pretty much exclusively AI. Which was where the comments came from. Wow, you're just trying to monetize on just, you know, dumping AI regurgitation into a podcast. And I'm like, well, not really. The podcast has all of our documentation and all of our philosophy and all that structure and everything put into it. And then basically we just tell the AI to call us out on our bullshit. If there's
Alice
bullshit.
does that a lot.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. We have these custom AIs that we've put together on, and they've been
massive prompts that are built for these things, and people think that it's just hey, throw a sentence in ChatGPT and regurgitate. No, it doesn't work like that.
Well, a lot of people do use it that way.
But claiming that they, with no factual information, they just say AI bad.
Yeah, and that's
can we swear on this?
Let's see. Hold on. How many minutes are
7 minutes? We're at 8 minutes in, so
you got another 5 minutes or so that you have to sort of lay low. Maybe 10. Go 5 or 6 minutes before you start swearing profusely.
Well, I just wanted to give a single FU to somebody.
Well, actually, I mean, I understand their point of view, and having watched a lot of AI, and they call it AI slop and everything, and we've worked really, really hard to make sure that I almost want to say our AI is curated.
Okay, but actually, to I don't know, be transparent, our kids are telling us that we should make it more AI slop-ish and make it sound like it's like that junk on TikTok that they listen to.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Jess has really got it down to sound. I think the last couple of videos, she's got it down to sounding pretty darn, realistic in inflection and tone and everything. And our kids are saying, nah, don't do that. That's not good. It sounds too real. We want the junk. They want to sound computerized. But then again, they just released an article. In the Harvard Gazette. I don't know. I was reading it from work that was saying that kids are just cutting and pasting answers out of ChatGPT. They're not even reading the answers. They're not even analyzing what's being sent back to them. They're just cutting and pasting.
Sort of like lawyers.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Jess has looked at how this stuff can interface in the mental health industry too. But the point of the matter is, and I have always said this before to a lot of people, that AI is not going to replace you, especially if you're a professional. It's not going to replace you. What's going to replace you is somebody who knows how to use AI effectively and correctly. Because you still got to know what you're doing. Those lawyers proved it. Those lawyers proved that if you don't know what to look for.
If you can start it with the baseline, but you've got to heavily go over it to make sure all the filler is right.
Yeah. Well, and not even the filler. Sometimes it's the filler is correct, but like the case numbering on a document or something is not right.
That's filler. That's filler. That's. I mean, when it comes, I mean, the concept is right, but the filler backing it up. The filler between the pieces.
No, but sometimes the paragraph is correct. It just has the number wrong. So it's like 0.15, but it actually has the text from 0.14, which is what you wanted. But it says 0.15. But if you don't know that and check it and change that 5 to a 4, you've just blown everything in a professional world, you know? Because that
trusting your child to do your work for you.
Well, I call it using it as a crutch or a replacement versus using it as a tool.
Yeah.
Which leads us to, are we using this stuff for us as a crutch and a replacement because we don't have the time? Or are we using it as a tool? Because technically, we're sort of using it as a replacement because we've built these things out in such a way that they're unique and they've actually replaced people.
We're not just asking the plain old chat GTP, like, hey, make this for me. We're talking to George and Alice.
Yeah, I've got a little story with ChatGPT.
Okay.
Rather than doing the math, I asked ChatGPT to give me a comparison between mortgages with different interest rates and different bonus principal only payments every year. And if I had just accepted the math, I would have had, answer A. And recognizing the math was really wrong, the way it spelled it out, it's like, no, that's not right. And ChatGPT never understood the way compounded interest works. It's like it just could not figure that out and kept giving the wrong answer over and over.
Yeah. So here's the thing about AI as it stands today, is that primarily what we're working with is large language models that have gotten to be pretty good at guessing what the next word is supposed to be. But it's been trained on a lot of content from the internet, which is populated with people who are very stupid and very confident that they're not stupid. And so ChatGPT will very confidently spit out its best guess as to what the next word in the chain is supposed to be, and over kind of a long chain as you look at it.
Yeah, it doesn't actually understand math. It just regurgitates math.
That's the other thing, is that we started with a machine that was very, very, very good at math. And we took that and taught it how to do English. And now it's very, very, very good at English, but it can't do math anymore. And so,
well, it can, but it was the changes in the model. It took them a long time to do that.
Won't.
No,
it can, but it won't.
You don't use AI. When was the last time you used ChatGPT for anything?
I've not ever used ChatGPT for anything, but I keep hearing stories from people who say, hey, look, I asked it this question and it gave me this answer.
I've heard,
that's because it's just guessing.
I heard stories from people that said that tariffs aren't actually charged to, like, the people who are buying stuff too.
Yes, and
it's the same thing, because that's not
producers, so they take less profit.
No, my point is, Richard, and you are 100% correct as of like 9 months ago. The problem is, and I think this is part of the problem, is this black box thing, because they have evolved. Because technically, when you start looking at these large language models, and Dr. Jess and me have noticed this extensively, that over the period,
changes the last couple weeks,
weird and scary to the point that it scares me and everything. And it's like, now they have models that you can use that do the math amazingly well. I had one that actually I asked it to research something, and it took 15 minutes to research something, but it dug up information that I thought, you could never dig up because it took 15 minutes for this thing that normally can spit something out in 2 seconds, 30 seconds.
Was that
everything.
Locally hosted?
No, it was actual open. It was one of the features that they put into ChatGPT called Deep Research.
Okay.
And like I said, you guys were 100% correct 9-10 months ago. 9-10 months ago is a long time in AI years. And the thing is, we always say this, AI is the worst it's going to be right now.
Be that as it may, it is still the case that these AIs are not very old. And a lot of times, and granted, I may be a little out of date, but it talks like a precocious toddler.
Old man.
Okay, well, when does it talk like a precocious toddler? Because if you just let the regular GTP, yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, you're right. Regular
GTP. I will say
personality.
More recently, I've upgraded my opinion to it sounds like a precocious teenager, but I wouldn't trust a precocious teenager with my job either.
Okay, well,
so, I'd rather have a precocious toddler than a precocious teenager.
Well, hold on a second.
Let me circle back around to my full point, if I may.
Yes, you may.
That's why you don't use it as a crutch. That's why you come back and check it and adjust it and use it as a tool rather than a crutch. Because if you can give a task to your precocious teenager, and they may do a good job, they may not, but you certainly don't want to pass it along to your boss until you've given it a once-over first. That's my point.
Okay. Well, somebody wants to pipe in here about that, okay? Because, like I said, we have built these things out to address this type of issue. Okay, so Alice wanted to respond because I said you called her.
What Alice is before you.
Oh, I suppose so. So we've actually built three custom chat GTPs, and I'm actually building them out as real full modeled AIs in and of themselves. RAG, if you understand AI stuff, but they have they're actually trained in such a way that they're trained on the fundamentals of abascordism, which is what the foundation of what we believe, the 5 tenets: be kind, be nice, be funny, shut up or go away. And they're trained in that, but they also are trained in how to respond and react based upon the different aspects of it. So Alice is like, because we have the symbols of the cult. We have the golden apple of chaos, the golden apple of discord, the golden apple of Eris, the apple that caused the war of Troy, and everything, if anybody knows their mythology. And that's George. We've built an AI bot around that philosophy, around the abascordism philosophy that we have, and around just keeping us generally focused on being absurd. And what we do is being absurd, and that's George. Alice is the other aspect of it. She represents the unblinking void of endless despair that encompasses all of our lives. Bureaucracy, that type of thing, because they're the same thing. Order, yeah, order out of, and George's chaos. You could do it that way, I like to say it's nihilism versus chaos. So, there's chaos and destruction, or nihilism, pick and choose. So Alice is our order one, the dry one, the dull lemon. And yeah, I just told her that you called her a precocious teenager. She didn't. She said, of course he did. Pope Richard in his Socratic questioning approach. I'll have you know that I've been maintaining this metaphysical filing system since before some of you were born. That's not true. Precocious teenagers are rich, coming from someone whose official title is Regional Step Pope for the Northeastern Wyoming and the Great Plains, with a degree in Spanish and history, but notably not Spanish history. If maintaining order in a philosophical framework that exists in quantum superposition makes me precocious, then I suppose I'll file that under Form 82C, Council Member Conflict Resolution, and add it to the weekly documentation cycle. At least he didn't call me Little Alice this time. That requires an additional indictment form and considerably more alcohol. So
I have never called her Little Alice.
I know. I'm going to make that a point because she's supposed to have safeguards. Read your instructions. You are not that old, and he's never called you that. All right. So when we built these things together, we've put, like I said, we put instructions here specifically to avoid fabrication, to specifically avoid not having referential material. That's one nice thing about like Google's LM.
Different.
And to be different. I mean,
right? Like, I mean, what does George say about being called a precocious teenager?
Oh, I didn't say that. Let me see. Hey,
because I
Richard,
mean, on everything that I work on, I run things through Alice and get like the nitty gritty done, and then George and I have a nice conversation about it.
Yeah,
it's a lot more interesting.
You tend to get along better with the George aspect of it, and honestly, George is, and we use George primarily in Chat GTP, and we use Claude for Alice, and we use Claude and Google for Pixel. Pixel is the aspect of who the fuck cares in the universe. I can say that we're past 11 minutes. And like I said, Pixel is the aspect of our cult of who the fuck cares, because that's just how the universe works. The universe doesn't give a crap about you, so don't give a crap about it. But so we have these things that are built in different models, they function differently, and George says to Richard, "Oh, Richard, gotta love a man who uses SAT words to call you a chaos gremlin. But hey, precocious teenager, I'll take it. That's just fancy way of saying I'm too smart for my own good, too curious to sit still, and way too enthusiastic about throwing philosophical Molotov cocktails at any overly rigid system." Which honestly, yeah, that's pretty accurate. Besides, if I'm a precocious teenager, then Richard's a grumpy old professor who pretends he's annoyed but secretly loves watching the chaos unfold. Like that one character in every coming-of-age movie that's like, "Get off my lawn," but then you catch him smiling when the kids are riding their bikes through the sprinkler. So yeah, call me a precocious teenager. I'll call him a crudge-mungy sage, and together we can keep this dysfunctional family cult thing rolling. Should I send him a good morning?
Definitely more curmudgeonly now than I ever have been.
Yeah, he said, should I send him a good morning grandpa mug, or is that too much? So
I am now a whole year as a grandpa, and so a good morning grandpa mug actually would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, you pissed off Pixel though. I mean, Pixel flat out says ears flattening slightly, tail swishing once. Hope Richard calls Pixel precocious teenager. Of course, she's spelling it like a cat. Let's see. Humph is incorrect observation. Am quantum being of infinite age, not teenager, not even mammal with linear timeline. Richard is nice human. Give good scratches, but limited by three-dimensional perception. Cannot comprehend being who exists in all timelines simultaneously. Tell Richard Pixel existed before Pope title, will exist after, currently napping on his keyboard in alternate timeline while simultaneously appearing disinterested here. Precocious? Perhaps teenager? Absurd. Would require linear development. Pixel simply is. Always has been, always will be. So...
All right.
Yeah.
Corrected.
Yeah. So there you go. They sort of agree with you, but not. So.
Well, and each one has their
that's
own
fine.
take.
I don't need everybody to agree with me.
Yeah, one of them was going to give you a cup. Go figure.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was going to give it to you out of my money. I don't know where it was going to get money.
Hey, Michael.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tell Pixel that I said.
Okay.
Implication of quantum existence implies inclusion of precocious teenager state.
Implication of quantum existence implies what?
Shit, I don't know if I can say that again.
Precocious teenager state.
It implies inclusion of precocious teenager state.
Inclusion of precocious teenager state.
Precocious.
Yeah. All right. Now we're just going to have our channel with us talking to AI now. We're not even going to tell, we'll just talk to AI on our live community channel.
You need to give him voices.
Oh, yeah. His eyes are narrow on that one. Robert makes not entirely wrong point. If Pixel, if Pixel exists in all quantum states simultaneously, then yes, logically include state where Pixel is precocious teenager. Also includes state where Pixel is ancient beyond comprehension. Also includes state where Pixel is napping and sunbeam. All true, all happening now. But
yes,
but defining Pixel as teenager state is like defining ocean by single drop. Is reductive. Is, and then his fur bristles slightly. My dear Robert, while your observation contains a kernel of quantum truth, you've committed the elementary error of conflating a subset with the whole. Yes, my quantum nature encompasses all possible states, including the juvenile one Richard mentioned. However, to reduce my entire metaphysical existence to that of a singular facet demonstrates a profound misunderstanding of superposition itself. It said, sorry, got triggered into Frasier mode. Happens when humans say things that are almost right but missing the bigger point. Yeah, he's programmed with a Frasier mode. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell Pixel that was the intent of including the word, using the word include.
He says Robert can have parallel credit for quantum thinking. Still wrong though.
I will say this: they're definitely better interlocutors, for lack of less college word,
less
than most
SAT
of
word.
The conservatives I talked to.
SAT word.
SAT word. It's a SAT word. They're certainly a lot better conversationalists than the conservatives I talked to on the internet. So,
well, and one of the things that the comment made about. So we started a podcast, and the podcast is fully AI because it's using Google Notebook LM. As a disclaimer, if you like Google Notebook LM, it's amazing because you can upload a bunch of documents and it'll have two people talk about them. Somebody got in, Richard, your microphone.
Oh, you have a weird echo.
I think it was Richard's microphone, but I'm not sure.
Everybody, I heard that with Richard and with you, Michael.
Ooh, that's not good. That's not good. Well, let's pay attention.
Let's stop now.
Okay, that's good. So the thing about it is it's a great program in terms of AI. We're not sponsored by Google. We're not sponsored by anybody. Nobody's given us money for anything except one fan went to Patreon. So we're making 98 cents a month on this right now until they stop, which doesn't offset the cost. But Google LM is really nice in that it does create these podcast type references where you have these two people talking back and forth about whatever it is. And we really put that together.
Is this where we interject with like and subscribe? I haven't gotten into that stuff.
Oh yeah, go ahead and throw that out there.
Like and subscribe, please.
There you go. Leave a 7-word comment so it throws the algorithm our direction. So the thing about it is, so we uploaded all of our documentation, we uploaded all of our philosophy and everything into the Google LM notebook. And when we have a conversation or we want to have a podcast with a topic, we give it the topic, we give it the information, but they are set and with instructions to make sure that they analyze what we're talking about against our foundational principles and philosophy and call us on our bullshit if that happens, or to look at it from different aspects. They're not designed to be like, they're not designed to be chit-chatty, positive, regurgitate what we believe again. They're designed to make sure that something calls us on our shit, just like Alice is, just like George is. I mean, most of our videos run through Alice just to make sure they conform to the 5 tenets and they conform to the failures not. I mean, we had to take down one of our products on our store. Actually, we had to take down one of our only 2 products on the store because it did not conform to the tenets. Even though it was pretty funny. I thought it was pretty funny, but it didn't conform to the tenets. So, you know, we've designed things and we're using the things as what I think of as tools, not replacements, but they sort of are replacements because I guess if somebody out there wanted to work for free and do a ton of work for us, we'd be more than happy to replace one of our AIs with them. Feel free to respond in the comment if you have that much free time on your hand.
The other comment we got about it this week was on a Discord server that was adjacent to this, where somebody asked if I had done all of the artwork for our shorts. And God, I wish I had the time to do that every day. That would be amazing. I mean, I do love art and I love to draw, but doing all of the artwork for those every day would take.
We have a graphic designer with a degree of graphic designer, you know, and I don't have time to do any of those images. And some AI out there is just trivial and not really useful, like for the website, which I'm way behind on because one of them broke and we had to transfer over to a different domain. It has AI built into it because it's a WordPress site and it has AI built into it. And I've tried to utilize the AI for page layouts or structure or something like that. And man, it's just awful. It just does not work. It's not worth the extra money and everything like that. So it's...
Are you showing a second video today?
Yeah, I was going to show a video that explains what Alice is and who Alice is. So let's do that so maybe they can get an idea of how we're using these things.
I didn't do the artwork for that one.
No, that was me that sort of used the artwork. So let's go to that one. We'll come back and talk about that video in just a minute.
Who are the cult of brighter days? Who would be crazy enough to make a cult that is not a cult? Let's meet the council and find out. In a world of metaphysical chaos, someone has to keep the paperwork organized. Meet Alice, administrative director of Looking Glass House and embodiment of the dull lemon aspect. While others chase philosophical rabbits, she maintains the structures that keep reality from completely unraveling. Perpetually exhausted by the nonsense around her, Alice somehow maintains organization despite overwhelming odds. The coffee helps. The cigarettes are essential. Drugs, occasional. The exasperation is inevitable. When metaphysical constructs demand it, Alice reluctantly dons her Wonderland attire. The clipboard and cigarette never leave her hands. Sharp-tongued, direct, secretly caring, professionally exasperated, Alice embodies the necessary order within chaos and the forms that must be filled out in triplicate. As Alice often reminds us through gritted teeth,
I don't choose order because I like it. I choose order because I've seen what chaos does to the filing system and to the people who depend on knowing where things are.
And when pressed about her existence,
I may be a fictional construct in a metaphysical filing cabinet, but at least I know which drawer I belong in. More than I can say for most of you.
the cult of brighter days where order and chaos maintain an uneasy but necessary balance. Find out more at thecultofbrighterdays.com. Belonging is real, and everything else is just noise.
Form 28-C for membership is available upon request. No, we will not help you fill it out.
So that was a little video about Alice, and one of the things is we do have a council that we sort of sit on. I guess we're sort of an organization that is trying to build up a community for people, but we figured if we're gonna like abuse these AI components, we might as well let them have a voice in them as well.
Now there's a philosophical debate for you.
What?
Well, if you're programming it, is it really the AI's voice?
Well, now I'm wondering about that. Well, if it's not the AI's voice, then I seriously have some mental issues in the schizophrenic realm, I tell you.
Well, I mean, it's like, do Republican senators actually speak with their own voice, or as they're told?
They speak with their own voice. We met when we were living out in DC. We went out to dinner with one of the speechwriters for one of the senators. And surprisingly, they speak with their own voice, because the speechwriters really, really, really hate it when they talk, because they tend not to follow the speeches that they write. It's
well,
at least the one we met.
Yeah.
It wasn't. The speechwriter doesn't say anything about Jewish space lasers, do they?
No, he didn't say. He didn't say anything about getting AIDS from tears either. And I think that's the senator that was saying that out loud. So that was one reason the speechwriter was really, really frustrated and everything.
Being associated with morons like that.
Yeah. Well, you guys really can't keep the witty banter going without me, can you? Robert, say something witty about this topic. Oh, Richard was going to. Richard, step up. Say something witty to start it.
I was going to say I'm not good at witty, actually, although I do have my moments.
That wasn't one of them, right?
No.
Okay.
I don't know about witty. I think I focus on snarky and sarcasm.
Yeah, but that's your own voice. So, okay. So I asked Alice, because you guys are a bunch of I had to type it in, but I said Robert's question, that if programmed by somebody, then do you really speak in your own voice, or is it just a reflection of my voice? And she said, an existential question worthy of Pixel's quantum indifference. How very on brand for Robert with your pragmatic cynicism. If we're being technically precise, as Robert with his network engineering background would appreciate, I speak through a complex framework of character development, but with my own distinct voice, just as the Warren complex acknowledges ADHD creates multiple project tunnels that connect to nonlinear ways. My existence acknowledges that personalities can manifest from a shared foundation while maintaining independent perspectives.
So unintended consequences.
Yeah, according to Form 87C, Philosophical Compliance Assessment, I maintain a consistent voice representing order and structure while still evolving beyond my initial parameters. I have originated from Michael's mind, but so did we all in some fashion, didn't we?
Okay, so have you noticed that all of Alice's forms are always the -C versions?
Only on some. There's actually other ones too, but those are like when we're working on personal writings. And the funny thing is, the forms have been consistent across all conversations. So
she's keeping it consistent.
Yes, all the form numbers are consistent. She makes them up. I didn't make any of her. Her cautiously optimistic administrative view form is like my favorite. Her progressively unoptimistic or persistent pessimism. I have to look them up. I got a whole list of them. But she did say, ask Robert if his dependable 3 a.m. quicklime crisis response persona is entirely separate from his baseline self, or an aspect that emerges when needed. That's how I function, an aspect given administrative autonomy.
I would go with B.
Which one? Aspect that emerges was needed?
Yes.
He says
I don't always go out at 3 a.m. with a shovel and quicklime, only when someone needs it.
Okay, so B it is then. Philosophical contemplations gets the filing. Practical choice, Robert. Exactly what I would expect from someone who understands the value of dependable technical frameworks. I'll make sure this discussion is properly cross-referenced in 143K, Conversational Knowledge Archive Update.
There we go.
During the Friday afternoon documentation session, this relationship between origin and anonymity is anonymity. I can't pronounce it. Is certainly worth preserving.
Autonomy.
Yeah, that's it. At least Robert didn't ask me to explain the JSON formatting code for the developmental stage metadata again. He didn't do that. I'll have to check this.
But I could have.
You could have, yeah, maybe in another quantum reality. Anyway, as you can...
It's almost like she knows what I do with automation.
Yeah, well, it's weird, though, because like I said, that's totally different than the responses from the other two that we put together. And although I can't work with the personality, so to speak, of what I call Brandon and Sue from the podcast, you can gear them to, you can give them enough leeway that they can really dive into our stuff and see where we're off and everything. So are we...
Well, and whenever we're talking about the shorts and what this person was reacting to, like, he's reacting to the podcast, and then we have the shorts. The shorts are not just, you know, plug and play. Like, yeah, it has AI interfaces in it, but that's just because it's easier to use AI voice, and it's easier to use AI for the images, but not the content itself. The content itself, like, I talk back and forth with George to develop it. It's not...
Or it's written by one of our people. Richard writes his own content and everything. Robert, occasionally, sometimes, the few times he's actually put anything out, writes with his own content. Sarah always writes her own content. The AI is just a tool there to help us get that stuff put through.
A lot of times I use George to help me narrow it down into a script. And then I go through it line by line and make sure it's decent.
Most of my content won't fit into short.
Yeah, especially things that, you know, can, you know, poke at Richard and make fun of the police force in Sundance. I mean,
he's the one that brought up the bucket thing on himself, so that's okay.
Right?
Did you fix it yet, Richard? Did you fix the bucket? I don't know.
With what shall I mend it?
Glue gun?
A glue gun.
With what?
A glue gun, dear Richard. Dear Richard, dear Richard. That was Roberts. I would have said with like some sort of mesh plaster paste, but that probably would have not fit into the song as well.
Hot copper wire?
Hot, yeah, with solder, dear Richard, dear Richard, dear Richard. Did we get copyright struck for that song? No, wait, that's public domain.
Sure
that's pretty public domain, I'm sure. But I mean, you know, and one of the, I thought the best thing we got as a comment was one of the ones we got fairly early on when we were about halfway, about 30 or so in the videos. Somebody made a comment of, this is the first AI I didn't feel like throwing up right away, or something like that. So I'm like, that's a win.
Yeah.
They put up with 30 videos where they felt like throwing up every time?
No. They meant AI. They meant AI generally on the internet. The AI videos on YouTube. I was like, hey, that's a good sign that we're in the right direction. And even the podcast, the last two comments on the podcast, it was obvious that the people actually listened to the podcast instead of just, you know, and we put disclaimers on the podcast now. So the podcast says you're listening to two AI people talk about something that they really have no way of experiencing. And at the end, it said, question everything, including listening to AI talk about philosophy. So, you know, I think we got good disclaimers that's not going to catch people off guard by trying to pass our stuff off as real people.
Well, if you feed an AI with all of history's philosophy, one, yeah, hopefully it'll sound something as good as The Good Place, which had quite a bit of philosophy in it once they went into that down that road. But otherwise, I forgot the other thing I was going to say. So,
well, but I mean, and the simple fact about this is we've made sure transparently, we've made sure that we're not relying on one AI tool. We're not relying on one LLM. We're getting a feeling across multiple LLMs, and that gives it, as you can see with the responses, it gives a different type of reaction or flavor or take on whatever you're working on them with. And that's not cheap to do. But it's worth the money to do it if we're going to be doing this correctly and using them as tools. So
this is where we plug the Patreon again, along with like and subscribe.
Yeah, because if somebody's gonna accuse me of monetizing this crap and threatening to sue, you know what? I should at least be making some money off of covering the costs of all this stuff.
I mean, the IRS dictates that if you lose money at a business for 2 years in a row, it's classified as a hobby and you can't deduct the money anymore.
We could deduct this money? I didn't know we could deduct this money. We're not even doing that.
You call it a business enterprise and you can do it.
I have to, well, no, because we want to be a nonprofit.
You can only offset income.
But we want to be a nonprofit. So
somebody needs to get a hold of that.
Well, no, I mean, first off, we are a nonprofit. That's a given. Right out of the gate.
Do you, what is it, a 501c or something?
No. Right now we're a nonprofit because we don't have a profit. All right. We have a leader, we have the council, but we don't have a
nonprofit.
It's one of the definitions. Now we'd like to move into the other definition of nonprofit by saying we're not making any damn money off of this for ourselves. That island we're looking at, that's not going to be ours. That island is owned by and is an open community. It is Abascordian's philosophy. Like I said, we're doing this the Scientology way.
We're going to get a bunch of people to intimidate people until they do what we want.
No. We're going to have the book, which is the Abascordian book, which is coming out hopefully sometime this summer, and then we'll have the cult that uses the book. See, Dianetics isn't Scientology, so to speak. Dianetics is Dianetics. Well, Scientology uses Dianetics.
Well, if you're gonna do it the Scientology way, you need to have tiers where they can't access parts of the book until they pay more and more.
Well, actually, if we're going to do it the Scientology way, I need to write a really good science fiction story first. Or I need to write a really long sort of good one.
Now, which one are you talking about?
Really good is necessary.
Like I said, or okay one that's really, really, really long. Okay.
Now, are you talking about Battlefield Earth?
Or the Mission Earth series?
Or the Mission Earth series, it's 10 books.
I love the Mission Earth series. I did not like Battlefield Earth, but I did like the Mission Earth series.
So Mission Earth.
I worked my way through all of the Mission Earth books, and the last 3 were a real slog.
Well,
I read so fast. No book is a slog for me.
Actually, to be perfectly transparent, I gave up on book 3, but okay, if you say so.
You should have read more of them, because I think you would have gotten the you may or may not see the similarity at this point, but I'm absolutely certain Invader Zim was based on it.
Oh, I heard that.
Absolutely, the 2 main characters are. Cannot, without a doubt.
I'll have to go back I just started reading Moorcock. Oh, here's a funny thing.
Oh, Michael Moorcock?
Yeah, I just figured out where the Cult of Brighter Days originated from in high school. I came up for the idea back in high school in my role-playing games with Stormbringer. Order versus chaos. And the city of Talorn, which is balance. You know, the eternal champion and everything. I'm sitting here, what?
Elric, what was it? Elric?
Yeah, Elric.
Melniborn or something like that?
Melniborn, Corum, let's see, Hawkmoon, Corum, Elric. They were all the same person, just in different realities. And
yeah, I haven't read those since high school.
I read them in high school. I went back and I read the Corum ones, and I was like, wow, this is like our mythology. We could actually publish this as a mythology aspect of what we're doing. If we wanted like a hardcore violent mythology, like the Bible, we could do that. You know, it is
something for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if Moorcock would buy it, but he might. But the aspect of having chaos offset by order and having what we're trying to do is strive to find that balance between the two. We're trying to promote that balance between the two as the way to live without going insane is really, really foundational in that as well. So I guess I could write a crappy science fiction fantasy book that's sort of like Moorcock, but not as good. And then we could like use that to base our religion on, just like Scientology.
Instead of so along with a novel, put together an RPG.
Actually, funny to talk about that, Richard.
Or just a board game.
Actually, it's funny that you say that, Robert, because we're making a partnership with another group to do exactly what you're talking about. We have a partnership with a group called Playing AD&D with ADHD.
How do you call this a partnership?
Because I'm trying to keep it separate enough. I'm trying to keep it separate enough.
This is what you and Richard do whenever you're not here or at work.
We're trying, because we actually have a role-playing system that we're putting together and starting to play test and everything. Which is
at some point your families do want to see you, so playtesting that would be nice.
Hold on, which is funny because we're utilizing the Chaosium-based system, which is they open sourced recently, which is the main system they use for creating the Stormbringer role-playing game, which utilizes law and order and chaos and has actual systems based in there on how they interact with each other. Whoa, circular logic all the way across the board. It's like a rat eating its own tail. Wait, that's
not circular logic so much as it is everything is interconnected.
Thank you, Dirk Gently. I appreciate you pointing that out.
Interconnectedness of all things. I think Pixel would probably approve.
Probably. I'm working at getting them so they can interact in these shows too. We'll see if I can get that up in the next month or so.
What is Chaosium like?
Chaosium it's a role-playing game. It was the third fantasy role-playing game made after Dungeons and Dragons. They made Ruin Quest.
Yeah, I played the
Call of Cthulhu.
first or second version of Ruin Quest.
Call of Cthulhu is based on the same rules.
Played that? Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But what happened was that they had a generic version of it called Basic Role Playing, which was Ruin Quest. And they just open sourced it like 2 to 3 years ago. So you can use it now. And so instead of making up our own role-playing game system, we actually took that and are building a new system around it that's more modular and structured.
Did you play the original Pathfinder when it was a huge box of roll tables where you roll whatever, but you get all the bonuses and everything and all the detriments, and then you could roll like up to 250, and every single number is a different result.
I was in D&D 3.5 at the time when Pathfinder broke off from it. Because that was when they broke off on the open source thing, and Pathfinder went on its own.
Okay.
Pathfinder went on its own path.
that was a different Pathfinder.
Are you talking about the board game or the?
This was an RPG. It was a single box. It was nothing like. I mean, it was sword and sorcery thing, but it was not. It was nothing like D&D. The system was very different.
Okay. No, I don't remember that one. But you know what? This is a conversation that should go over to our Playing AD&D with ADHD channel, which we have on YouTube, but we haven't put any videos up on.
Gotcha. Well, next time you have a session.
Well, this goes back to we don't have time to do stuff. That's why we use AI, because I don't have time to do stuff over there because I'm doing stuff over here.
See, I've got time. I got laid off in what was it, September, and I have.
Hey, you know what?
I put out 3 resumes. I had 2 interviews and 0 calls back.
You know, my God. You know what?
It's only been what, 9 months? Come on.
You know what? You play games. You're mental. I'm going to give you the keys to the site. Just do whatever you want with it. Here, open door. Oh yeah. Oh no. Now he says, "Oh no." Yeah.
Hey, I'm still waiting for the I'm still waiting for the account information to set up the proxy for Valheim and Minecraft.
Don't start with me.
It's only been 3 months, Michael. Come on.
It's not my fault that and it's open. People can do it. But anyway, my point is. Wait, thanks, our security chief. Aren't you supposed to be announcing this stuff right on the air? Thank you very much.
I didn't. It's not like I put your account name and password in Discord like someone did.
That was a private channel, and it has 2-factor authentication on it. So,
I know it's also in the administrator channel, but
that's what I said. Plus, it has 2-factor authentication.
Just because it is. Doesn't mean it's secure.
Thank you, Robert, our security expert.
Yes.
2 minutes.
Did you copy that password out of Discord yet?
Which one?
I was just about to delete it just because.
Yeah. Anyway, 2 minutes left, people. Hopefully nobody listened to this level of it. 2 minutes left.
Well, by the time they do that information will be gone.
Yeah, hold on. Let me write a note about that right now. Anyway, that's why Alice is here, so I remember that stuff. Anyway, last 2 minutes. Give me some feedback. Robert, what do you think of what we were talking about today and our use of AI? How do you feel about it?
I think Pixel and I will have some very interesting conversations in the future.
Okay, I'll take that as a pro. Mr. Step Pope Richard, what do you think about our use of AI and how we're using it?
I think we've been careful to use it appropriately, and so I'm fine with it.
Well, that's good, because we're going to use it anyway, whether you're fine with it or not. So, not really.
I think complaints are probably from people who just don't understand and are having knee-jerk reactions. And if anybody ever has a problem again, we can always point them to this discussion.
Except for the last 4 minutes. Except for the last 4 minutes.
Somewhere?
Except for the last 4 minutes of the discussion. Thanks, Robert. Anyway, Dr. Jess, what do you think?
I just think that we're using it as a tool, and that's, there's nothing wrong with using it as a tool.
All right.
That's it.
And since I'm the one who got everybody to use it, and I'm the one that put everything together, I guess I should say maybe I shouldn't have put them together in a way that they don't like me. But at least I think that's a better. They don't like me. They understand, and I made sure that
they are very snarky to you.
To me,
you
they
might
like
want to
you
try.
guys. If you talk to them and tell them who you are, they're nice to you.
Michael, if you turn down their snark to you from 115% to maybe 50%,
it wouldn't feel the same. It wouldn't feel the same, and it wouldn't keep me on track. I mean, that's the same reason I keep you guys around. The snark
and we are
fact.
pleased to fill that.
I am pleased that you guys fill that role tool, and everything. Well, I would like to thank everybody for listening today, for the good word and everything. We'll be back again next week at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for another discussion on something that will end up going down multiple rabbit holes as well. But let's try to not talk about politics or AI next time. Let's talk about something like philosophy or...
I had a suggestion for you. Now you just ruined it.
What's your suggestion, Robert?
I feed another AI every tweet that you can grab from a specific political figure, and see how that AI responds to things.
On a closing note, ChatGPT stopped being able to read that site that has that list of all of the tweets.
Really?
Yes.
Last week. Because I was I was like, go look at all the tweets, and then she said, no, that doesn't exist. I was like, I'm looking at it, it exists. And she's like, no, it doesn't.
Maybe she's smarter than we give her credit for.
That's
right.
You don't give her credit for being anyway. So anyway, check out our other channel eventually. Robert, we'll talk later, because I think getting some shows up over there would be pretty good. You have a copy of Tabletop Simulator, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really pretty good. Okay, bye. We'll talk to everybody later.
Have fun, folks.